Hi, this is Danielle Stewart, your candidate for mayor of Beckley in 2020. And this here on my lap is Gracie. Gracie's my lap cat. If I sit still for more than 30 seconds, Gracie comes and sits on my lap. So she's going to help me today with our first edition of Ask Danielle. The purpose of this is to allow people to have an opportunity to ask me questions that they may not get an opportunity to later. Our specific focus for tonight is really about me, why I'm passionate about Beckley, and why I'm running. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of your questions and ideas as we go through. Oh, I need to keep talking for 2 minutes. So it's a new format for people to get on. Okay. So, new format, we're learning how to do this. So there's going to be some growing pains as we go through this. But that's okay. You know, that's part of being real. And when we talk about my candidacy, that's really what it's about, is being authentic in what's going on. You know? So, there's an appearance sometimes with political candidates that they're this big polished gemstone, and I'm definitely not that. If anybody knows me, I'm the person that gets down in the mud, picking up trash, doing all those sorts of things. Just because it's in my nature to do those things. I guess it was probably the Army background, because they teach you from an early age in the military to, you lead from the front. You don't tell somebody to go do something that you're not willing to do yourself. And so the Army really gets you into it by saying, yes, you can't ask your soldier to dig a foxhole until you dig a foxhole. You can't ask your soldier to go running in the rain if you can't go running in the rain. Let's see, we have, hi Kathy and Doris and Linda. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. And like I say, I'm open to questions as we go through. And Caitlin. Hope you're feeling better, Caitlin. I know that you were talking about your migraines earlier. I'm like, I've never had migraines, so I don't know what advice to give you. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. No. So, if everybody missed the introduction, this is Gracie. She's my lap cat. If I sit down for more than 30 seconds at a time, Gracie comes and sits on my lap. And we have Annie on. Hello, welcome. Glad you're here. And so one of the things I was just talking about was, in the Army career, they teach you from an early age to, you can't really ask your soldiers to do something you're not willing to do yourself. So especially with, as you're going through, the experiences of being in the Army are very important, because, you ask your soldiers to do some pretty crazy things out there, and it's good for them to know that you've been there and you've done that, and it really pays off in trust. And so that's really one of my big things, experiences that are very similar to a whole lot of people. And got another person. Say hi, Chrissy. Hi. And Gina, nice of you to join us. So there's lots. So when we talk about why I'm passionate about Beckley and the things that we have going on here, is because, this is where I grew up. I live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. And it's really interesting. A lot of kids that grew up with me are now, as adults here, raising their kids. And it's a really nice feeling to have, to be in the same neighborhood. Mom's still a street over. Let's see, we've got two more people, Amy and Jackie. Welcome. Glad you could join us. And I should say, at any time, you can feel free to ask questions. We have somebody monitoring the questions, and then they'll ask me those questions as we go through. And we got Josiah. Thank you, Josiah, for joining us. And so, so what I was saying, though, is that, I'm in the neighborhood I grew up in, and it's very important for me. I feel very connected to Beckley, being home and being where I grew up, with a whole lot of the friends that I grew up with here. And so that's where a lot of my passion comes from, because look, I have lived through, and I have seen a lot of the struggles that happen with the people in Beckley. Growing up, my parents were divorced when I was young, and there was money issues, and I remember those days of being on food stamps. And, people now, the SNAP benefits is the new name for it, but, and just how hard that was on a family when, end of the month comes around and you're eating canned beans because that's all you have, and that's okay. I've experienced that, and I know that a lot of people in Beckley experience that now. Our economy is a problem. We have lots and lots of full part-time minimum wage jobs, and people are struggling to get by. And I've been there. My first official job was as a cook at Burger King on Harper Road. It's the one they tore down, so I think it's Seattle Tony Tire now is what they put at that building. But worked there for about 18 months, I believe. I swear I can close my eyes and still make a Whopper in my sleep. It's just something. When you've done it so many times, I could probably make about 3/4 of the menu still today. And so, that was my first major legal employment experience, because I did, work. As a lot of kids my age in the 80s, you kind of worked under the table doing whatever you could in other places. Hi, Paul. Glad you could join us. I ended up leaving Burger King, though, because I went down to Concord, went to college down there, lived on campus, loved it. I would still be there if I didn't have to, pay back student loans, because I loved the college experience down there. Probably loved it a little too much, because it took me a little longer than other people to graduate. But as I tell people, what I got the education I needed, not necessarily the education other people thought I could have or thought that I needed. And so it took a little bit longer, but I feel it's paid a lot of dividends. I had several leadership positions when I was in college with various organizations, and that really helped me to develop who I am today. So also during that time, though, during the first summer, I worked on a construction job. We were working on building a water slide down in the Daniel Beaver area. Ended up not happening because after we got it all built and we were testing it, people were going down so fast that they were sliding at the end of the pool and going off and getting hurt. So we didn't do that. Let's see. Gina went to Bradley Elementary and lived on Beckley Avenue. Well, thank you very much. I was plotting my places today where I'm walking, and that's definitely one of the places I plan to go. Hi, Megan. Glad you could join us. So I did that construction job for a little while, and then after that, I ended up babysitting for a couple of weeks until I started back to school. My second summer, my roommate was from Virginia Beach, and we went down there and worked, and I tried a couple of jobs, didn't really do anything. It was just interesting circumstances with those. So I ended up bussing tables for that summer, but it was actually really, really an awesome job for a kid during the summer, because I would bus tables in the morning, and then I'd have the whole noon after off. And so I could ride my bike down to the beach at Virginia Beach every single day. Loved that. So with that as my job that summer, I go to my third summer job. And my third summer job, third summer job. I didn't have a job lined up that third summer. So I basically walked into the Army Reserve recruiter and said, I have to leave in 1 week and I have to be back by this day. What can you do for me? And so I joined the Army Reserves. Hello, Rodney. Glad you could come. And so so I joined, and they actually got me through. Hi, Amy. And got me through. And it was quite an experience. It was still one of the biggest culture shocks I've ever had. Was, because I did split options. So I did basic training one summer and my advanced training the next summer. So, in the morning, I'm at the graduation ceremony, full dress uniform at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And that afternoon, I'm back here in Beckley on my mom's couch, like, what's going on. So definitely quite a culture shock with that. And so that really started my summers then doing the Army Reserve. I'm not sure if the unit still, I was with the 811th Ordnance Company down in Raynell. I'm not sure if they're still in existence or not. I know a unit is still there. I don't know if they still have the same. Mary Souter, hi, welcome. And Concord alum, yeah, ooh, Mount Lions. So, yeah, so that kept my summers busy after that. I did, it was really funny. The unit did all these really cool overseas assignments until I got there. And then when I got there during the summer, we went to Fort Bragg one summer and Fort Dix another summer. So, I think they went to Okinawa once and Germany once. And I mean, it was just awesome. So, but graduated Concord, came home. My bachelor's degree was in geography, had a minor in biology. And, I looked around, but there wasn't a whole lot of jobs available. And, people don't understand the times were different then. We've gotten so used to finding everything on the internet. It's hard to believe there was a time when you had to look through the newspaper and that's all you had as your resource to find jobs. So I ended up with a job at a place called Quality Farm, lawn care service person. But basically my job was to sell riding lawnmowers. And I did okay. They wanted me to get into the management program. But one thing I know is that I am not a salesman. I'm just not that good at being a salesman. So recruiter kept coming by shopping and I'm like, I'm going on active duty. And so boom, I went on active duty that summer. So I didn't do the annual training with my unit then. My first duty assignment was Fort Polk, Louisiana. And there I was, in theory, I was a crane operator. I was trained as a crane operator, but I never actually operated a crane except during the training. Hi, is it Tyler? Hi, Tyler. I never actually operated a crane except for training. So I go down to Fort Polk. That unit was actually in Haiti doing earthquake recovery. And so I was working back and we were doing construction of roads and stuff at a place called Peace on Ridge. Hi, April. Good to see you. And so we drove in the back of a 5-ton truck every single day at 6 a.m. in the morning, get up there and, hi, Christina, and operate a armored bulldozer. So, this is Fort Polk, Louisiana, 106, 107 degrees and a fully armored bulldozer. It was very, very hot. So did that for about 6 months, and then the unit came back, and I went down to regular platoon. Again, never operated a crane. Operated loaders and dump trucks and a few other things. From there, did that for about a total of a year when I was selected to be the Sergeant Major's driver. So I was Sergeant Major. His name was Command Sergeant Major Carpenter. He was the battalion Sergeant Major, and drove for him for 2 years while I applied for officer candidate school. Oh, here's my lap cat. Are you coming? Hi, Ryan. Hi, Robin. Yeah, everybody, this is the lap cat. As you see, I sat still too long and now she's back. Her name's Gracie. So I was a Sergeant Major's driver for 2 years before I went to officer candidate school. Went to officer candidate school at Fort Benning. Worst 17 weeks of my life. I hated that. People say basic training is hard, but officer candidate school is horrid. I swear the entire purpose of the school was simply to run people out. If you survived, you were good. So did that, went to the engineer officer basic course. I was an engineer officer. When I tell people that, they kind of assume, I have an engineering degree or I did construction. No, I was a combat engineer. I did all the blow things up and put yourself out in harm's way stuff, which I really enjoyed, but it's a different experience when you talk to people about it. So from there, I went to Bamberg, Germany, served in the 54th Engineer Battalion. I was a platoon leader in Bravo Company and then a platoon leader in Charlie Company. Went back to Bravo Company as the company executive officer and then went to be the logistics officer before I left there. The funny thing is, I was in Bravo Company. I was in Charlie Company. I was in Bravo Company. The only company I asked to be in was Alpha Company. I'd sent a letter to the battalion commander before I got there. Said, please put me in Alpha Company. Never even got there. So it's those crazy things that happen. Yay, we have a sign issue. Okay, so we'll leave off there. So the sign issue. Both silly and serious at the same time. You know, you think, wow, we're really fighting over signs. How silly. So what happened is, we signed up for the election. And when you sign up, a lot of people put up campaign signs. I was very reluctant to put up, so they gave us a paper with the city ordinance saying that you cannot put up signs for 60 days, until 6 days before the election. Fine, I had no problem with that, except that other people started putting up signs, including one that had put up signs before Christmas, and the city had said absolutely nothing to them. This individual, a very good person, but it really, from the city perspective, it really looked like favoritism from the city towards a candidate. I was the 5th or 6th candidate to start putting up signs because I kept waiting. Christina can tell you, kept going back and forth over it because I didn't want to do it early. But with everybody else doing it, I finally decided, okay, I'm going to do it. Well, I have a lot of signs out now. We got 50 signs, and I'm out of all 50 signs, and we've got a waiting list about another 5 people that want signs. So I attended the city council meeting last Tuesday, and it was brought up that the signs aren't supposed to be out after 60 days, or until 60 days. So I was like, okay, why did you allow this person to put up signs before Christmas? And nothing, the city said absolutely nothing about it. And the answer I got, and understand these signs were like 4 foot by 8 foot signs located all over Beckley. They didn't see them. So that got me. But I did. When I left, and you go back, I told my supporters to go ahead and take down the signs. Well, a friend messaged me later on the next day and said, hey, there was a recent Supreme Court ruling about this, and they can't limit your signs. So I researched it, and then I contacted the ACLU of West Virginia to research it. They came back to me and said, yes, you can in fact put up signs. The city ordinance is not in line with the federal law. So basically, it's a First Amendment issue, freedom of speech. If somebody wants to put a sign up in their yard, they can do so. It's their yard and it's their way of speaking. The other thing that kind of bothered me, going back. So basically, the signs are back up. I went and I've talked to everybody that I could, and I put my signs back up, and so be it. That's where we're at right now. There could be an issue later on. We'll see, but we're just going with it as is. The ACLU of West Virginia did send a letter to the city addressing the issue, and so that's where we're at with it right now. As far as I know, nobody has been addressed. Nobody that has a sign, nor I, have been addressed with any issues with the signs. I do know that code enforcement went to another candidate's office and told them to take down their signs, but this happened before the letter from the ACLU of West Virginia was sent to the city. So today's really the first work day since that happened. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I was very happy with getting the signs up. So I've got 2 more, Ada and Rachel. Hi, welcome, join us. So that's where we're at with the signs. So we'll see how it goes. Really, March 13th or 12th is the 60-day mark anyway, so we're not that early. And the other thing with signs, having a 60-day restriction on the signs, is if you have a candidate that's not as well known, especially against an incumbent, that kind of skews, limits the opportunity of exposure to new people getting into the system and favors the incumbent because you have a much more limited time to get your name out there. So, all right, let's see. We're going about my personal journey. I left off in Germany, where I was with the 54th Engineer Battalion. when I was there and I was leaving, I got promoted to captain. I was going to the captain's career course, and I decided I wanted to do something different. And so they allowed me, I applied for and was accepted to attend the Armor Captain's Career Course. So I spent a year at Fort Knox playing with tanks and learning a whole lot. It was an entirely different perspective from what I had gotten as my engineer training. And turned out to be very beneficial to me. Let's see, it got Hope and the Parrish family wants a sign. Yes, Hope and... So I put up a sign in front of Chris's mother's house, and that's the only sign somebody took. And I'm not for sure where that sign went, but we are due for signs on Thursday, and I will bring one down to your all's house. I guess I should have said when I was in Germany is when 9/11 happened. And being in the Army when 9/11 happened, a lot changed. Like I say, I went to the Armor Captain's Career Course and came out and was going to the 3rd Infantry Division. At that time, the 3rd Infantry Division was still in Iraq from the initial invasion. So I went to Fort Stewart. I did the replacement training. And so at the time, they were debating about what to do. Do they keep units there and rotate individual replacements out, or do they replace whole units? Well, I kind of got caught up with that because I got sent over there, and while I was in Kuwait, they made the decision that they're going to rotate whole units. So the whole unit came down, met me in Kuwait, and we came home. So that first deployment, I really don't count. It was only like a month and a half. So I did that. I was the brigade logistics officer for a while, and then I took over as the brigade engineer of 4th Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division, and that's where I did my first deployment to Iraq. Was in Baghdad, in the green zone. Lots of mortars and rockets and fun stuff coming in there. And then while I was over there, I took command of Echo Company 37 Infantry, which was actually an engineer company that was reorganized as infantry, and we were doing security operations in the southwest Baghdad area and security for one of the major routes coming into the city. So did that for a while. It proved to be a lot more interesting than the mortars and the stuff with IEDs and all that. But, I had soldiers wounded, but everybody came home alive. And that is what really meant the most to me, was bringing all my soldiers home. Came back and was trying to reorganize the company back as an engineer company, and they say, hey, we're going to change. You're not going to command headquarters company as well. So I went and commanded headquarters company, did another deployment to Iraq as that. I ended up with 44 months total of company command time. Hi, Tracy. Glad you could be on. I know I owe you a message too. So I took over HHC, the headquarters company, and we deployed to Iraq. And not only was I responsible for the FOB security there and FOB operations, but I was also responsible for a slice of battle space out away from the FOB as well. So I got to interact with a lot of the Iraqis. And I really, as much as you can enjoy a deployment, I enjoyed that deployment. Maybe. But I met some really good people in Iraq, and I learned some very valuable lessons there about people. Everybody gets vilified for all these different things, and the reality is we all kind of want the same thing. We want good jobs, we want to be safe, we want to be treated fairly. We want education for our kids. So that's enough about me. We were only going until 7:30. We've got 5 minutes, and so I want to open it up to any questions, other questions that individuals may have, and we'll pick up on the rest of my career later. I guess, maybe, we'll see. So, any questions about me, about the candidacy, why I'm running? And it's all quiet. That means I've answered every question that everybody has. That's a good feeling. Let me tell you. It's kind of like the being a teacher and nobody wants to ask any questions in class, and then afterwards everybody comes up to you. Well, what about this? What about this? But that's a lot of fun, and hopefully, the plan is to start getting out door to door very soon. Hopefully, I will get to meet those of you that I have not met yet, and we will hopefully have some really good discussions about where we want to move Beckley forward. The reality is, I don't have all the answers. There's no candidate that has all the answers. You have to go. It takes a team working together. Everybody with a common goal and a common idea. And so while I may not know everything, what I do know how to do is bring people together to work towards a common goal. And that's really the focus of my entire campaign, is how do I bring people together to solve our problems together. There's no one person, there's no magic bullet that's going to fix all these issues. It is too much and it is too hard. But it can be done. Other places are doing it. It takes leadership, and it takes time, and it takes everybody working together. And that's what you're getting with me. So hopefully you will... I'm getting looked at here. Hopefully you will give me the opportunity to serve the city of Beckley the way I was able to serve in the Army, and work together to make Beckley a better place.
Ada wants to know, how do you plan to apply all the lessons you learned in the Army to your job as mayor?
So there was a lot of lessons learned in the Army after 23 years total time. But the biggest to me is communication. That is something that a lot of people don't understand about the military. Is what makes the U.S. military so special is our communication systems. We can pick up a device and talk to somebody halfway across the world in real time, video, all that stuff. And what that does is that helps give people the same, we call it a common operating picture. Everybody knew what was going on. So when it comes to my lesson learned, that's one of the things I want to do with the city. I think it's important that the city makes an effort to let everybody know what's going on. And we do that similar to this. We put up on Facebook and video our city council meetings so that people can see what's going on. We publish the agenda. Right now the agenda gets printed on a paper and put on the city hall wall. And if you don't bother to stop by and see, you have no idea what the agenda is. So I want to use all the modern platforms that we have to get that agenda out so people know what's going on. I want to use our website with more information. We should have our budget on there. We should have our vendor list. Every year the city is required to publish a vendor list in the newspaper, and that's everybody and dollar amount that received money from the city as accountability. You miss that one paper and you have no idea. You got to go find it, go look for it. You don't know what day it comes out. So that's the kind of thing that needs to be online so people can see what's going on and make decisions. But yeah, the ability to communicate and making an effort to communicate is really the biggest lesson I learned from the Army that I can transition over to being the mayor.
Megan wants to know, how do you plan to revitalize downtown and support local businesses?
Great question. Don't know that I have a complete answer for that. The downtown problem is very complex because there's not a lot the city can do. One of the things I do want to address is the parking situation. We need to have more free parking up there because personally, I don't like to go downtown during hours that I have to pay for parking because I don't want to pay for parking, and I think other people feel that way. But in the end, it's really the business owners, the building owners downtown that have to decide what they want. We can support, the city can't support that, but the city can't afford to pay everybody's rent downtown for business to open. The building owners, if they want to make money off their building, do have a responsibility to run a business in that building. Now, there may be efficiencies that we can assist with, and we'll gladly do everything that we can, but it has to be an equal distribution to all owners downtown and not just in one particular area. One of the things that we have done is we've put together a small business questionnaire that I have sent out to several businesses. And if you're interested in having one, we would gladly send one to you as well. Because really, we want to get your feedback on what is best for small businesses and how to revitalize downtown. I would love to put a couple of museums downtown. I've thought about a union museum, and I thought about or labor, maybe a better term is a labor museum, really inspired by the teacher strike and what they were able to do. Still a lot of ramifications about that. And I think our unions are a strong point in Southern West Virginia that need to be celebrated. And I'd love to see a museum dedicated to the union movement in Southern West Virginia. The 1% sales tax. Got a question on that. At this point, plan to keep that tax until I see better how that's affecting the small businesses. Because I think it's important to have that revenue coming in, but we can't be wasting that revenue either. If we don't really need it, then we have to get rid of the tax. The other thing that I've thought about, and it kind of goes back to Megan's question about small businesses, okay, so what if we exempt our small businesses from that 1% tax? Will that help them be more competitive against the Walmarts and the Krogers and the other places? I guess not the Kroger since it's food, but the other big box stores. So if I'm able, so that is definitely something I want to look at and see how that 1% impacts the businesses. And maybe, I've talked to one business owner that said they have no problem with that 1%, as long as that was being used for something that really supports the city. When you look at a lot of what's going on in the city, not everybody believes that our city government is working for the people of Beckley. And after Black Knight, I'm not so sure that there might not be something to that. Kind of goes back to the communication stuff that Aiden mentioned, which was you don't know, and finding the answers is so hard. And I mean, I'm pretty good at getting answers, and I have a difficult time finding a whole bunch of answers. So,
Kathy wants to know, Ann Worley is retiring. Have you heard who, if anyone, is planning on running for Ward 2?
Bob Cantor is running unopposed right now for Ward 2. There could be a write-in candidate for Ward 2, but nobody else that I have heard of. Bob Cantor owns Quick Prints up on Prince Street, and I think he'll be a pretty good guy. I have not talked to him very much, and look forward to talking to him. But I think it'll be good to have somebody new in a new direction on the city council.
Mary wants to know, how do citizens obtain a copy of the budget and spending breakdown for city funds?
It's hard. So the budget itself there's a basic budget that you can get online, and I will find the link that shows you kind of the basic budget, the big dollar amounts, but it doesn't break it down into what that money's really going to. To get the full budget, you basically have to put in a Freedom of Information request to City Hall to get that, and then they will give it to you. The vendor list would be basically the same thing. If you want to know, unless you caught that one newspaper that it came out in, is you'd have to do a Freedom of Information Act request to the city to be provided that information.
Alice wants to know, what do you consider to be the heart of Beckley?
The heart of Beckley is the people. I mean, that's in the end, that's what brings people back. I came back for my friends and family. Friends that stayed here for their friends and family. Beckley has a very strong connection among the people, and to me, that's the heart of the community. But you know, and in terms, our heart's been broken. I mean, there's a reality with that. As I talk with different groups around Beckley, it's amazing how many people don't talk to each other. They've lost trust in each other. They don't know how to work together, and that is one of the reasons. You know, to me, that's kind of one of the bigger problems that has to be addressed. But yeah, as long as we have good people, Beckley can be built on it, and I really believe that's the heart. All right, that'll be it for questions for today. I thank you all very much for joining me today. We will do this again on Tuesday, March 3rd. We will do that one at 6 p.m. Because at 7 p.m. We have a fundraiser at Foster's, a paint and sip fundraiser. If you're interested, there's more information on the Facebook page. Love to have you come out. Also, if anyone's interested in volunteering for the campaign, this Saturday at 11 a.m., we will have a volunteer coordination meeting at Brown Dog Bottom. Would love for you to come out, especially as we're starting our plan for door-to-door. The more people that we can have come out and help, the better it will be for everybody. So, thank you very much again for your time. And vote for me for mayor in 2020. Thanks.